thought we were putting water on my fire. You're really adding gas to it. And now I'm really burning so bright right now.
Okay. Where should we start? How do you feel about Roland Garros?
Wait, let's say hi.
Okay. Hello. How do you feel about Roland Garros? I'm kidding. How art thou? It is Thursday, June 13th. This is overdue because clay season is over. But we made it.
Yes. Clay season is well over, but here we are. How are you, Jay?
Good. I just had therapy. So I'm doing pretty well mentally right now. I'm thinking about going to get a bowl after this, so I'm doing really well.
I might bleep that because they're not sponsoring us.
Right, we're not Taylor Fritz. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm excited for the weekend. I'm excited for the Juneteenth celebrations that will start this weekend and move into next week.
True.
Yeah, good time overall. The weather's nice, yada yada. How are you?
What are you doing for Juneteenth this weekend?
There's a block party.
Nice. The Tompkins one?
No. Apparently that might have gotten shut down.
Oh.
Because too much was done last weekend.
Oh.
Like people were flying out for it. Did you hear about this?
I didn't think that was true. I thought it was a rumor.
Apparently. Truth to all rumors. So they don't know if they're doing it this weekend. Troutman is having a block party. The Bush is a part of it.
Oh, right. Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, and then there's an event at House of Yes, too. You know, all the cute queer things.
Oh, the Black Box but event at House of Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
How are you?
Tired. Pride Month exhausts me.
You went out.
No, that's the thing. First of all, I was recovering from the beach last weekend, our beach day that we had. And then between work and me trying to regulate my emotions this week, I'm exhausted. And there is no signs of that slowing down. But that's okay. That's what July is for. In June, we suffer. Besides that, I'm good. Got some pepperoni pizza here next to me.
You look like you're in pain.
Well, the sun is like glaring through my window and like beating my eyes up, but it's okay. It's fine. I should wear my glasses, but
you got pizza from where? Joe and John's?
Bleep. I'm not saying because again, not sponsored.
Is it a chain?
I'll tell you after the recording.
Fair.
All right. Also very excited to talk today about the ending of Roland Garros, which happened so long ago. It feels like
ages ago.
We are on grass, and yet we are here to talk about clay.
The way that the surfaces switch up in tennis gives me whiplash. Sunday we were on clay. Monday we were on grass.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I haven't even spiritually prepared myself for this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, do I like grass? Do you know, have you seen any of the matches?
Yes.
The thing that irks me about grass so far is the sound of the ball hitting the racket. It feels fake. It sounds fake. Like somebody inserted what they think a ball hitting a racket sounds like.
Wait, but the ball hitting the racket, there is no difference in that.
Acoustically, there is.
Oh, because you're talking about the mics that are on the ground in the court? Oh, and
Like,
how they pick up sound.
yeah, and I was watching one match and the commentator said it. There is a different sound of it. I'm like, yeah, this sounds weird. But I did see Naomi Osaka is playing in, I think, Germany right now.
Yeah, it's Germany.
And her matches have been great. Great. I think that grass in general is not as dynamic of a surface as hard court or clay, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that. I also learned, because I'm, learning as we go, about the speed differences with the three surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
So clay is the fastest. That's why of all the surfaces, that's where people do the most sliding. That's where they have the least amount of time to react.
Right.
So clay is the fastest. Hard court is the middle ground. And then grass is the slowest. Like, you're bogged down. Grass bogs you down in terms of running, ball speed, etc., which I just found out, and I think is pretty interesting. So
yeah, that checks out.
I could understand why you don't necessarily love grass.
I just don't know. I mean, I will say there was a learning curve when we entered clay season because it was my first clay season, my first ever. And I was like, what is this? And then I grew to love it. So maybe that'll happen with grass. But the grass season is not long at all. So maybe it won't happen. Like, we only have 3 weeks until Wimbledon.
Yeah. For me, there's something about grass that, I don't know, it feels a little... Now, don't burn me at the stake, but it feels a little geriatric. Like, it is slow. And, like, first of all, aesthetically and in my spicy mind, the image of the green grass and then where the players are running being brown irks me.
It messes me up. I'm like, that's actually disgusting looking.
It irks me so bad. The sound of the ball bouncing on grass irks me. And it honestly also reminds me of, and this makes sense because the origins of tennis, like we said in episode 1, it was a lawn sport. So, like, it just brings me back to that, like, the antiquity of tennis, which I don't like. I prefer the modernity.
That's a good point. I think the crowd also contributes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the tournament that's happening now in Germany, I was watching a Demonar match today, and before Demonar and his competitor, I forget who he was playing against, came onto the court, there was nothing to do for the cameramen to do, and so they were focused on people in the crowd. Why were all the people in the crowd middle-aged white people?
Mm-hmm. I said that too.
That's it. And I'm like, this feels very dated.
Mm-hmm.
Very dated. And I know, like, location plays a huge part in that, but it's 2024.
Mm-hmm.
There are people of color everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't like it. It was medieval.
Yeah, I felt that too. Hard to really explain it when I felt it today when I was watching the WTA matches in, like, Stuttgart, I think it's pronounced, in Germany. But yeah, they did the same thing where they kept putting the camera on the crowd, and it was like people, it was mostly people with, like, white hair who were, like, older and white. And I was like, it made me feel like that was the kind of people who had the time and the money to watch a tennis game on a Thursday, or yes, still Thursday there.
Right.
And that was a bit uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. I do think about that a lot. These matches are happening midday, midweek. That's inconvenient.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think the schedule of tennis as a whole is pretty inconvenient outside of championship Saturday and championship Sunday.
That's a fact. I think tennis schedule in general, I have beef with it. I have beef with the whole tour. I actually think there is too much tennis. Nobody gets a chance to breathe.
Unless you choose to not partake in
Right.
a month of tennis. Like Jess Pagula she was injured, but she didn't play clay.
Didn't play clay at all. Yeah.
And I'm like, it shouldn't take an injury for you to be like, I am not going to play this surface. Like, it should be something that you just decide to do. But because of the requirements in the WTA and the ATP, because you are required to play a certain amount of tournaments, tennis players don't really have that luxury. And I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
And there's no real off season. I mean, maybe at the end of the year, sure. But it's so quick.
Yeah. So for context, at the top of the year in January, we have the first Australian Open. I mean, the first Grand Slam, which is the Australian Open. And then there are opens on the hard court after that. And then from hard court, we move on to clay, which starts in May. And then the clay season ends with Roland Garros, and then grass season starts immediately after, with some opens from the ATP and WTA. And grass season, Wimbledon is the culmination of grass season, and then we move on to hard court, which culminates in the US Open in August. And then after the US Open, there are the WTA finals and the ATP finals, and there is a
Laver Cup and the Davis Cup.
Right, there's a Laver Cup, a Davis Cup, where
it's on hard court.
Yes, where players are selected to be on these teams and compete to win trophies. And then it wraps up at the end of the year, and then it starts all over again in January. So it is a basically full calendar year tour.
It's relentless.
Yeah. Yeah. And then honestly, like, it's obviously the most relentless for players. And then from a spectator point of view, it's like, golly, I can't even revel in like my favorite person winning a Grand Slam, because then literally the next day we're on to grass. It's like, do you hoes not realize how important that was? Can we just take a beat?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the sport of tennis should have taken a national holiday after Zverev got beaten at Roland Garros by Carlos Alcaraz. Honestly, because we as a community needed to sit in that.
We as a society, yes.
It was
society.
Right. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. And that match was rocky.
Yeah. Wait, so let's just get into Roland Garros stuff. I guess we could start there.
Yeah.
Can you say what you texted me? I think before the match even started, about how poetic it would be. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember. So Alexander Zverev's first match at Roland Garros was against Rafael Nadal. And before the match even started, everybody was like,
really?
Like, it was the worst pick possible, one of the worst picks possible for Nadal to get. And I watched that match and I said, it would be so nice and so fitting if Zverev came into Roland Garros kind of on that high. He wasn't gloating about it. I'll give him that. But to beat Nadal at the French Open, which is Nadal's like bread and butter, has won it 14 times.
In the first round, and Nadal has never lost first round at Roland Garros.
Exactly. To beat him, you know, internally, he's like, I'm up here right now. Like, he was feeling it. And so I felt it was only fitting for him and Carlos to meet in the final and for Carlos to clip his wings. It just felt very full circle. And mind you, Carlos was in the crowd when Zverev beat Nadal, watching. And I was like, they put the camera on him, and I was like, only you. Only you
can do this.
Only you can humble this man in the way that I need him to be humbled.
The boy who lived, really.
Right. And he did it. He did it.
Yeah, he was probably I didn't watch the match because I didn't want to see it, to be honest. And as we'll talk about, I don't think I've said it on this podcast yet, but on record, I'll say I hate Sasha Zverev. So I didn't want to see him win, especially beating Nadal.
And that's a pretty popular opinion.
Yeah, but I did see, which we'll also talk about, but I did see the clip of Carlos like applauding Nadal after he lost. And I remember being like, this is him taking it personally, like Michael Jordan. Zverev beats Nadal. Carlos is like, and I took that personally.
That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
So it was beautiful that he won. There are so many reasons that is beautiful that he, spoiler, won the men's the men's title for the French Open. But yeah, that being one of them for sure.
Yeah. And it was really beautiful to watch him win something that he wanted to win as a child. After he won, people pulled up video of him, of someone, maybe it was his father, asking him, what are your dreams? What are your tennis dreams?
¿Nombre?
Carlos Alcaraz.
¿Edad?
12 años.
¿Cuál sería tu sueño como profesional?
Ganar Roland Garros y Wimbledon.
It's so cute to have like somebody like fulfill their dreams and still be so young. Like that wasn't even 10 years ago.
Right.
Crazy. So now Carlos Alcaraz has won a Grand Slam on every single surface. He's won the US Open, he's won Wimbledon, and now he's won Roland Garros. I think he might take the Australian Open next year.
Just off of momentum.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. Like his in January of this year, he did not play well at Australian Open. But he was also like dealing with like potential injuries that hadn't fully shown themselves. And his final match at that Open, funny enough, was against Zverev, who actually like slaughtered him. It was a little embarrassing. But also Carlos's coach, Juan Carlos, was not there. And we sort of like had to watch in real time as Carlos tried to problem solve but wasn't successful at figuring out how to win ugly, or which means winning when you're not playing your best tennis. But I feel like what we saw him do at the French Open, which was he won the first set and then he lost 2 sets in a row. And then when it came to the 4th set, he won that. And then the 5th set, he won to take it. And so watching him lose 2 sets in a row and then potentially lose the championship if he had lost that 3rd set, but figuring out how to problem solve, how to win ugly. I feel like this is the beginning of him learning how to do that and really coming from a puppy to a dog. And I feel like by the time we hit January next year, he'll just have it.
I think so too. I think so too.
And he'll get that career Grand Slam that people are sometimes after.
Yeah, the elusive career Grand Slam. Yeah, I agree with that. I was talking to someone about this. I think that Carlos Alcaraz's prime is going to be when he's about 25, 26. Maybe 24, or honestly, maybe his entire career will be his prime, like Nadal, until the injuries really started affecting him. But I think that sometimes when I watch Carlos Alcaraz play, there is a lack of focus. Like, do you remember the first set at Roland Garros? He played clean tennis against Zverev. It was a beautiful set to see. I was like, wow, like this is great. Like this is a caliber that I haven't seen him play at for this entire tournament yet. And then the second set, it felt like his mind was in 3 different places. I think that as he ages, he will gain focus. And I'm not saying that he needs confidence, but he will also gain confidence. And that's going to be lethal.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people say that Carlos is a showy tennis player, which I don't mind. Like a lot of commentators will be like, he does like trick shots, or he's just like showing off, or like he's putting on a show.
I don't see that as a bad thing.
I don't either. But I think they say it as a bad thing because it detracts from like he's a showman and he's a performer, but is he a problem solver on the court? Like, can he figure out a game plan, but then when that game plan doesn't work, can he readjust and recalibrate? And I think that people were thinking that because he's such a showman that he can't do both.
Right.
So I think if and when, because I feel like it is a when he has the ability to not only be a showman, but also be a problem solver and someone with strategy that can change in real time. When he has both of those things going for him, he will truly be unstoppable. And I think, as you said, I think that comes with age.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that we can hope for, please, Jesus, is that he just stays healthy in the way, comparatively speaking, in the way that Novak has remained relatively healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that Spanish tennis fans will be able to take 2 great Spanish tennis players being plagued by injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. I do hope the best for him and his body.
We shall see.
But yeah, another stat that I want to bring up is the fact that Carlos Alcaraz has managed to win a Grand Slam on each of the surfaces at a younger age than all of the big 3, which is honestly...
She's clapping. It's not audible, but she's clapping.
Round of applause.
Round of applause. Maybe make that up, but the delay is hilarious. No, that's true. And I was delighted by that stat, but also scared. Because it puts so much pressure on a person.
Right. Nowhere to go.
I hope he was like, I hope he was like, la, 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 la. Covering his ears and closing his eyes about that stat. Because that is so much pressure. You want a Grand Slam on each of the 3 surfaces at 21, and Nadal was the former youngest, and he did it at 22.
Right. And mind you, Carlos just turned 21.
Right.
Last month.
Right. So
he was basically 20 when he did it.
Right. So it's and then it's like people are naturally gonna have all of these expectations around him. But to be honest, if he never won another Grand Slam again in his life, that's still a feat.
Right. It's true. If he never won a Grand Slam again in his life, he still has as many Grand Slam titles as Andy Murray.
Damn. Damn.
And Stan Wawrinka.
Oh wow, I didn't know he had 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I do think that Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner are going to, they call them the little 3. I don't know. People,
Third.
it's them two, and then people change out, they switch out who the third person is. I personally don't know who the third person is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's a clear third right now.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want it to be Zverev.
Me either.
I hate to say it, he's playing very well.
He is playing very well.
I'm nervous. I wanted to, if I had to choose, I would choose Daniil Medvedev.
I wanted it to be Daniel too, but
he's too nonchalant to be in the next 3, the little 3.
And he hasn't been able to defend any of his titles.
Right. Because he doesn't care enough to defend them.
Yeah, he's too iffy for me to put Daniil in. Wait, so people say Zverev. Who else do they say?
Some people say Medi.
Uh-huh.
Some people say Casper Ruud.
Uh-huh.
These people are wrong. Tsitsipas. Like all of that lost generation.
Uh-huh.
The people who are in their like mid to late 20s who haven't won a Grand Slam. They're like, maybe one of these guys.
That doesn't make sense though.
It doesn't. I don't think there's gonna be a big 3. I think it's the big 2 for this generation.
Llanitos.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just one more point about Zverev, because I said we talk about it, but I agree with you. There is just the big 2, I think. I particularly don't want it to be a big 3 because the third person, honestly, would be Zverev. And we don't like him on this podcast.
This is not a safe space for Zverev.
Hell no.
No.
During the French Open, near the final day, he had been in the midst of like court proceedings around abuse allegations that were brought forth by a former partner who is also his daughter's mother. And I think the day before the French Open final, the case was settled behind closed doors with no public statements about the settlement and the final decision. And to be a little bit more graphic about the abuse allegations, he was accused of, in the midst of an argument with the ex-girlfriend, putting both of his hands around her throat. So when the case was settled, he did press, and I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background. He did press and said that he never wants anyone to bring it up again.
He did say that. And
he said that a journalist asked him more about that and about innocence versus guilt. And he basically said, it being settled means that he's innocent. Like that, because it was settled, he's innocent.
That's what dropping the case is. That is innocence. They're not going to drop the case if you're guilty. At the end of the day, I don't know what translations you have, but that's what it means. Done. We move on. I never, ever want to hear another question about the subject again. That goes out to everybody.
And that might work for gullible people, but it don't work around here. He will forever. And also because there have been 2 people who have said that, who have come forth with abuse allegations toward him. He will forever be known as an abusive player, and he is not guilty. I mean, not innocent in our eyes.
No, it's true. I can't believe he said that though. You know
Crazy.
you genuinely think that because something was settled out of court, that means you're innocent?
Child.
Diddy's case was settled out of court, and then we all saw the video.
Hello.
Are you stupid or are you dumb?
Hello.
Zverev is a gaslighter, and he lies about coin tosses, and I don't like him. He does.
What do you mean? I didn't know this.
He was going against Diminar.
Uh-huh.
I think it might have been a French Open match. He was going against Diminar, and the umpire asked him to pick a side of the coin, ball or racket or something like that. It was two sides. And he was like, I'm going to go for ball. And then the umpire flipped the coin. The coin lands on Zverev's side of the court, but it sort of like rolls away. So Zverev goes to pick up the coin, and he's like, it's racket. He was like, it's racket. I called racket. I win. And the umpire is like, you call racket? He's like, yeah, I call racket. He called in the video. If you run the video back, he clearly says ball at the beginning.
It's gonna be ball or racket.
I was like, yo, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Medvedev said this. He says that Zverev lives in his own little world, and he definitely does. He is delusional. He is. It's crazy.
I'm glad some player said something about him.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to talk about the women.
Yes, as we should.
Even though to me, I'm gonna be honest, less thrilling.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, ladies. Nothing's really happening. I mean, the biggest thing that happened, the most congratulatory thing that happened, that was like a little surprising, or not. It wasn't even surprising. Coco moved from number 3 in the world to number 2.
That's huge.
Yeah, because Sabalenka got knocked out pretty early for her.
For her, yeah.
At Roland Garros, because she had a stomach bug.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I hate to be less enthusiastic when it comes to the women's side. And I'm super happy for Iga. I love Iga Swiatek. I think she's a great player, and she plays aggressive. And we at this podcast are always talking about how we love an aggressive woman player, because to win tennis, you need to be aggressive. Like, you cannot be a tennis star. You cannot be a winner if you are not.
It's true. And that goes for the ATP and the WTA. You have to be aggressive.
Right. And I think because of just like social conditions and what's expected of women, sometimes aggression is not sometimes, it is frowned upon. But when you are playing a sport, particularly when you're out there on the court by yourself, you have to channel that aggression internally, because it's not going to come from anybody else. Like if you're playing on a team, you know? Mm-hmm. So with that being said, Iga's great. She plays aggressive. I'm so happy this is her 4th French Open title. But we expected this, to be honest.
From the draw, honestly.
Yeah.
From the day that the draw came out, we were like, yeah. And the one thing that I didn't see coming was I thought her and Sabalenka would play each other, and they didn't.
Yeah. And
that was the most surprising thing.
And that you weren't even excited about.
No, because I've seen it so many times this year already.
Yeah.
Like so many times.
Yeah. And I think that the only sort of real friction, real problem solving that Iga had to do was when she faced Naomi Osaka.
Which for me was the match of Roland Garros.
Osaka.
Yeah, to be honest, I think Yeah, that was number 1, and I think the Novak Cerundolo match was number 2.
Oh, that was good.
Um,
Wondalo?
yeah, the one where he did that hydroplane move.
I would say the Musetti one was good too because they were playing at 2 a.m.
Jeu, c'est le match.
That is one for the
Djokovic,
ages.
3 manches à 2.
It may only be the third round,
2-6, 6-3,
but it's an
6-0.
amazing match. It's the latest finish we've ever had at Roland Garros.
Yeah, and that one was actually, we'll come back to them later, but I just want to say that one was the longest match at the French Open ever until the Cerundolo one happened.
Oh, it beat it by a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't at 2 a.m.
But yeah, I'm really excited to have Naomi Osaka back because I think her rivalry with Iga is going to be a really interesting one.
I agree. I do agree. I think I really like who Naomi Osaka is as a person right now.
Mhm.
Like I do feel like she's really come into her own.
Mhm.
And I love that for her, but I especially love that for her fans too. Like for me, when I look at her now, I'm like, this is a person who is a perfect example of coming into your confidence and being confident in who you are and as a player, but also as a person, but also being kind to the people around you.
Yeah.
And when she was at her prime, quote unquote, when she was winning Grand Slams, it felt like there was a guilt there, even when she was winning, like when she won against Serena.
That's true. Yeah.
And so it's nice to see her just more confident in her abilities and being like, well, I deserve to win. I deserve to be here. I deserve to take up space. That's beautiful to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And I think that when you mentioning Naomi's fans is really important because I think that her reach as a player is really wide and vast in a way that not many other players, they don't have that. Like before we really even started watching tennis, we knew a lot about Naomi Osaka, and maybe even more than we knew about Serena this early in her career. Like she has such a far reach, and particularly when it comes to people of color, Black people, watching tennis, she's super important. Like I feel like in terms of this podcast, who it's hosted by, and Naomi Osaka fans, I feel like that's a Venn diagram. Like she, more than most other current players, appeals to like Black women and girls a lot, which is great. So I really appreciate that about her off the court. And I'm also really excited for her to really get back into her bag because I know she wants it so bad on the court.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there anything else? Were there any other matches or players on the women's side that you want to talk about?
No. Sorry, ladies, but no.
Okay, I have one.
Okay,
For the future, 17-year-old Mira Andreeva, or Andreeva. I haven't heard her say her last name. I've just heard the commentators, and they be butchering people's names. Like, shout out Johnny McEnroe with his dumb
Zverev. What did he say?
Zverev.
Zverev. For hours.
And nobody thought to crack his mic and be like, hey, Johnny, it's Zverev.
Lazy tongue, Zverev.
But anyway, Mira Andreeva, 17 years old, from Russia. She crashed out.
She did.
in the women's semifinal against Yasmin Paolini from Italy. Shout out Yasmin.
Just missed it. And Paolini consolidates, puts herself 3 games away from the final.
I thought she was going to win that match because
I told you.
she played really well against Sabalenka in the round before. I know
Sabalenka. That's huge.
Right. I know Sabalenka was sick, but that actually does not mean that someone who's 17 years old is going to beat her. So I thought she was level-headed. That's the word I've been looking for. And particularly against someone like Yasmin Paolini, who is not ranked number 2, down to number 3 now in the world. Like, I thought she'd be even more level-headed, but crashed out. She crashed out, but I am excited to watch her grow and become an even better player. She beat some really good players this tournament.
She did.
Took out Victoria Azarenka, thank God.
Yeah.
And she beat Sabalenka. So I feel like she is one to watch.
I think so too. I feel like it's the curse of winning against a top player. Like last year, was it? No, it was this year. I can't remember what tournament it was. Luca Nardi went against Novak.
I think it was Indian Wells.
That sounds correct. He went against Novak, and Novak took the L. It was actually really incredible to see because nobody thought that would happen.
Yeah.
And then in the very next round, he crashed out.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it goes. I can't think of a person who has been able to pull off an upset and then go for 2 more rounds within a tournament. I can't think of a match that I've seen this year that happened that way. Yeah. Or a tournament that I've seen this year where the player has been able to prevail.
Yeah, unless you're Novak and you're in a match where like people think you're gonna lose, but then you don't lose, and then you go on and on. But that's Novak.
But you're still Novak, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of Novak, is there anything you want to say about him?
No, I have no.
He
of the big 3, he's my least favorite.
I think a lot of people agree with that. We might have to do a single episode on why that is.
Maybe.
If anyone would like us to make an episode on that, please email us at agoodrally@gmail.com and let us know if that tickles your fancy, and we'll do that.
Because it's not a talent thing. The talent is undeniable. It's undeniable. He eats every time. Not every time, but I want to say a good 95% of the time. No notes.
He's really reliable.
He is. He's steadfast. The personality is crazy.
Yeah.
The drama beyond 10.
The drama really sometimes I love it. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
He gives the boy who cried wolf though.
Yeah, he does.
Like that is my whole problem with him. Like you can't really tell because he's dramatic about everything. You can't really tell when something is serious or when it's something that he can overcome.
Yeah, like literally when in his last match at the French Open before he withdrew, he tore his meniscus. A right tear, but played the whole game and won. So like, but complained about how slippery the court was at certain points. But yeah, he had been complaining through matches before that too. So it's like, what's real and what's just like what's a mind game to have your opponent and the spectators be like, can he do it?
Right.
Like he'll ham it up to have you put doubt in your mind, and then he'll make a comeback and win the match.
Right. I think he loves creating that narrative in his matches.
He is a producer.
Yes. Like, he loves having the audience in the palm of his hand.
Yeah. Wish him luck at Wimbledon.
He's not playing Wimbledon.
Oh, he's not. He's waiting until the Olympics.
He said, my focus is the Olympics now. He can't recover from a torn meniscus in the time in 3 weeks. Apparently it's not possible to do so.
Oh, right. I think I read that it was like 6-week minimum or something.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to both him and Nadal, who are playing in the Olympics.
Right. So we'll see him back on the clay, which is also crazy to go from clay to grass to clay.
Yeah.
But I'll enjoy it.
That's true. Okay. Speaking of clay, do we want to talk about the Olympics? Do we want to talk about Carlos and Nadal being paired up for doubles?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I don't have much information on the Olympics besides the fact that it's also happening at Roland Garros. And it has been confirmed that Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal are playing men's doubles. I am very excited about that. I love to see two different generations working together on the court because it rarely happens. And I know viewership for that is going to be crazy. Honestly, it might do wonders for doubles tennis as a whole. To have like Carlos Alcaraz and Nadal paired up at what people are, I think, rightfully expecting to be Nadal's last Olympic Games.
Yes, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. I think it's going to be iconic.
Yeah. I just hope they go far. My only fear is that you have two cooks in the kitchen. Two executive chefs. So there's going to have to be compromise on the court.
That's very true. But I do think that because Carlos loves Nadal, loves him, and because Nadal has played doubles with Federer, I think they can make it work. Nadal has the experience in doubles, and Carlos is like, I'll do it. I am a student of yours. So I think they could be able to pull off something remarkable.
That's true. And honestly, I'm rooting for them. Sorry, USA. I don't even know who our people are, but I'm rooting for Spain.
Just like that. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even need to know who we got. I don't care. Right. I don't give a damn. Is there anything else?
No. You know. The grass season is off to a start.
I wonder who's gonna have the best white fit at Wimbledon.
Ooh.
So, for a bit of context for our new tennis spectators, our new tennis viewers, Wimbledon has a uniform. Every player is required to wear all white on the courts at Wimbledon every time. So everyone's working with the same sort of canvas, I guess, the same materials, but it'll be interesting to figure out what they do with that rule and who brings the uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
I think the key is to accessorize.
Yeah, that's true.
It will come down to whoever has the best accessories.
This is true.
On the court.
I love a tennis accessory. Shout out Chris Evert for accessorizing so well that's where the name tennis bracelet came from. But I love a tennis accessory. Ooh. So we'll see.
Yeah. Alicia Parks has had the best kit for me at, I think it was Indian Wells, where she wore the all white.
I remember.
She had the wristbands, the bracelets, a couple of piercings in her ear, chains, like multiple chains, and the high, like, thick tennis socks.
Mm-hmm.
She was serving.
Yeah.
She was serving. And I think that aesthetic is an aesthetic that is very popular right now.
Yeah.
But she had it on before challengers came out and before the tennis aesthetic was a thing within pop culture.
Yeah, I mean more of it. It's always like around, but yeah, becoming in the cyclical way that trends do, becoming very visible and popular with challengers and et cetera, et cetera. I'm just really glad that nobody gets to wear yellow on the court because there was too much yellow at the French Open and my eyes almost bled. Thank you, Jesus. No bumblebees on the court. No yellow and gray, Carlos. That was the ugliest kit I've ever seen him wear. And he better have burned it. But I know he did it because he wanted it. He probably had it framed. Ugly. Ugly.
Who had the best kit at Roland Garros to you?
Blink. I don't remember. It was I can't remember the best because no one was like, wow, they look good.
I agree.
But I will say I'll give you a better answer. The most unfortunate kit was Mira Andreeva and Victoria Azarenka wearing the same kit going against each other. And as a 17-year-old, why are you wearing the same kit as a 34-year-old? I would be so vexed because she's too young to be wearing a kit so boring. It was uggo. I'm sorry. A real stole my look moment that did not need to happen.
It happened a bunch at Roland Garros, though. Twin, where have you been moments. There was one between Paula Badosa and I'm so sorry. I don't remember her name. She's Alex de Minar's girlfriend. She is a British player. They had the exact same outfit on. A Nike dress, tennis dress, with a blue visor to match. I think the only difference was the color of their sneakers. And they each had blonde hair and a ponytail.
Her name was Katie Bolter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Katie Bolter. I was like, I would feel immediately I would be in my head. If I walked onto the court and the person looked like me, please.
Yeah. It's a real battle with yourself at that point, huh?
It's crazy.
A mental game in it.
I feel like Nike, but the same thing happened earlier in the year with this one Adidas dress that everybody was wearing.
Oh my God, Wozniacki had it on. Jessica Pegula had it on. Like, it was a tennis dress.
It was like one of those silhouette dresses.
Silhouette. So it's mostly black. And then it has a white outline going down the sides in like a more creating like this hourglass shape.
Yeah.
They wore that shit out.
I'm like, Nike and Adidas, y'all have to rethink this.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing
us. Hire us. We'll outfit all of your sponsored players in something different and beautiful to look at.
It's just too much. Make more kits. Have more variety, even if it's just changing the color.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one Nike dress that we're talking about, it came in 3 colors: gray, blue, and red. That was it. And I'm surprised Sabalenka was the only person that had the red version of it on. That actually kind of ate because it matched the clay. And there was nobody on the other side of the net who had that dress on. Yeah. I need all tennis kits. I need them to be better.
Yeah, fair. Tennis fashion, we'll do an episode on it. The tragedy that it is.
We shall.
All right. Anything else you want to get off your chest? Wrap up before we go? Have we done enough in terms of summarizing this French Open?
Yeah, honestly, it had good moments, but I don't necessarily think that it was like unforgettable. I think there will be better French Opens. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Wimbledon. It'll be my first time watching start to finish. So I'm just excited to move on. Funny enough.
Who do you think is going to take Wimbledon?
Iga.
She's not the defending champion.
I know. Vondrousova is.
Yeah.
I actually don't think Iga is gonna win Wimbledon. Sorry to her, but I'm hoping she doesn't, because again, boring. I would like Ons to win.
I would love if Onzi won. Yeah. That would make my summer.
And then on the men's side, honestly, Yannick.
I want Carlos to defend his title.
I would like Yannick to win and then Carlos to win the US Open.
Oh.
I just want to do a back and forth like a lob.
Yeah, if I had to choose, I would rather Carlos won the US Open. But there's something about the way that he played against Novak last year, the way that he was able to clinch that title, that I'm like, that was tennis excellence. And I can't, if he shows up like that on the grass this year, I can't see anybody beating him.
That's fair. I actually don't know how well Sinner plays on grass. I'm just like shooting from the hip. I would love to see Carlos defend a title. That would be sick, because it'll be his first one.
Right. It would be fire. We'll see in a couple weeks.
We'll see. Wimbledon starts July 1st and goes for 2 weeks. So we will try and make as many podcast episodes as we can around that. This is exhausting. I'm not even going to lie to you.
It can be.
The work is fun. That's not the exhausting part. It's all the components and how fast the tennis schedule goes, like we've been saying.
Yeah, the lack of time is a challenge, 100%.
But we'll do it because we love you and we love this game.
It's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So, until then, I guess.
Until then, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Right.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
And as always, please follow us on social media.
Tell your friends about us also.
Tell your friends about us. Send us emails. Rate us on Spotify. Please, we need ratings so that we can feel the love and keep pouring into this. On social media, you can find us on Instagram at A Good Rally Pod.
Nope.
Damn it, I always mix up the two. On Instagram, you can find us at A Good Rally, and we are over on TikTok at A Good Rally Pod. And we promise to do more on social.
We just need the time, but we'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
Slow and steady.
Yes.
Wins the tennis race. Yeah. Okay, that's all. We out.
Love you. Mean it.
Bye.